Welcome to this video which reviews test number 3, which covers chapters 9 and 13 from your textbook. This test will have a little bit of a different twist to it in that you will absolutely need to use your calculator. This is not the time to learn your material for the first time. This is not the time for you to learn how to use your calculator for the first time. That's something that should have been done by students prior to taking this test. What is not included, and this may be the wrong way to go, but I'm going to go ahead and do this anyway. What is not included on this test, there are no graph problems at all from chapter 9. And again, don't read too much into this what is not included. You want to be sure you look at what is included. But there will be no graphs to read on this test. You will not have to do an amortization schedule. Now what I mean by that is you won't have to write down for car payments all 36 or 48 months where you've got that really long list where you have each payment and how much was interest, how much was principal. Again, I would like to do that, but there's no time to do that in an hour and 30 minutes for a test, or an hour and 15 minutes for a test. In Chapter 13, there was nothing assigned from Section 13.1, and in 13.2, don't worry about the real complex digits problems where they said the number has to be between 5,001 and 8,000, and the first digit has to be odd, the second one even. Nothing complex like those. There's nothing super complicated in terms of the permutation combination problems, again, like number 35 and 36, where you've got the real complex seating situation where men and women, that so-and-so has to be. I'm trying to even think of the problem. There are a couple of problems on there, but the ones that are super complicated, and I'm looking right now to make sure I've got this, you won't have anything where all women must sit together but nobody on the end seat. Nothing super complex like that. And of course, no bingo card problems either on this test. The one thing that should help you out on this one is that you can use your notes, and I'll add to this slide right here, you can use your notes, and that would include homework. You can use calculators or the website calculatortab.com. You cannot, absolutely, you cannot use your books. You cannot use other websites. That gets the math department really upset. You can't use other people on the exam either. You know that would be cheating, of course. So you should know that. Only your notes and homework can be used. And again, don't make this a first-time situation. Another thing you cannot do, I need to make sure, sorry about that, let me undo this and make sure I get this done. I want to be real clear about this also. You cannot use, you can't share, let me write that way. You cannot share homework with someone. Example, Mike and Jonathan, for instance. If there were a Jonathan in this class, there isn't. Mike and Jonathan are taking the test. Jonathan did his homework, Mike did not. Mike and Jonathan cannot share during the test. If a person has done their homework, then they fly on their own, and that's only fair to the rest of the students who chose to do their homework. Now, the answers only situation. Many of you have attempted this, and this is the oldest panic plan in the world when people are doing homework. They just write down the answers hoping to get credit because they're in the back of the book. And of course, there is no back of the book here. On the simple exercises like if you're converting 1/4 to a percent, or you're converting 59.8% to a decimal, you can certainly do the answer only because there's nothing to do but just do a calculator computation. But if it's a complex exercise like one of those interest formulas or one of those word problems on permutations, combinations, you've got to set it up. An answer only there is not sufficient, and the reason for that, of course, is math is a system of logical thinking, and I'm wanting to find out what your thinking process is. Besides that, an answer only means there's no partial credit I can give. I can't see your work if I see just an answer. So if it's wrong, you can't get full credit. Similarly, if you are doing a real complex problem and all I see is the answer, then I'm not giving you full credit because I want to see your thought process. That's the whole point in doing it. So a little common sense here will tell you whether answers only is acceptable. I think you know that by now after 12 or 13 weeks in my class already anyway. Let's cut to the chase. The simple exercises, the ones where you can just do pretty much a straight up answer, would be the ones where you took, say, 58.5 5% and converted that to a decimal, or if you converted the number or the fraction 3/8 to a percent, something like that. We can go either direction. And I gave some examples right here as far as what would be similar. And don't take this so legalistically that you're thinking like an attorney. The factorial computations. If you look at these exercises where I might give you like 7 factorial, or if I gave you 7 factorial divided by 3 factorial, you see some examples of these. Do you know the definition of the difference between permutations and combinations? And what I'm really asking for there is, in which case does the order matter? That tells you whether it's a permutation or a combination. I'm not going through this on the review because that's something you should have done in your homework exercises and in the lectures you're in class. You should already know this answer. This is not a teaching video. This is just telling you what to review. Now on the complex exercises, you'll look at one where you get simple interest. And by simple interest right here, don't get confused with the PRT exercise, but look at the formula that I have on this slide in this video review. The amount of interest earned, if you have $5,000 that you've been saving for 4 years at a rate of 7% or 0.07, I want to know what your total amount of money would be. So you're not going to have one of these situations where you're going to have to throw in the value for A and P and then solve for R or something like that, or NT given to you. It's just straight computation, and that's it. You'll have one with compound interest, and that's where you've got the exponent, like numbers 19 through 26. The thing you got to watch right here, and I noticed this on the homework, is this value for M could change. M might be monthly, of course, which is what everybody wants to put, and that's the number 12, but it might be quarterly, which would be a 4, or daily, which would be 365. You've got to be careful about this. And again, with your notes in front of you and with the answers I've given on homework and your opportunities to message me or to ask questions in class, you should know how to do this already. If you chose not to pursue the incorrect answers or do homework really late, then that unfortunately is a situation that you have to live with. The average daily balance finance charge exercise. And this is one of those that we did in class, like numbers 27 through 30, where you have a credit card balance and then maybe you purchase something, then maybe you have made a payment and you have to go through all those days of the month. Like if it's June, it's 30 days. If it's July, it's 31 days, and you have to compute the average daily balance by adding all the numbers up and dividing by 30 or 31 or 29, 28, depending on the number of days in the month, and then calculate the finance charge. Again, I've gone over one of these in class, and with your notes, you should already have the opportunity to know how to do this. There will be an add-on interest exercise, like if you were borrowing money to purchase a big screen TV or furniture, something like that. Again, the exercise is like number 5 through 11. There's your formula right there. And again, be careful how you put this in the calculator. This is why I say if you put the answer only and don't show me the setup of the problem, there's no partial credit I can give for it. So if you just wrote down $350 and the answer was $320 and I have no idea how you set it up, I can't give you any credit for something that I don't see. So it's very important, folks. I can't emphasize enough to, especially to a few of you, that it's got to be set up, not answers only. The amortization program, this is the monster formula that you're having to use. And again, you've had many opportunities already to check your calculator stuff. There are tutors, there are fellow students, there are email and video opportunities. You can't wait till the last minute and ask for help when you decide to procrastinate. What a lot of students are doing now, I've noticed, is they'll go ahead and, let me see if I can get this right, they will go ahead and do this R divided by M part. It's hard for me to get this right here. They'll do the fraction part for R divided by M in all three of these instances and then put this in the calculator. It makes life a lot easier. Again, everybody learns how to calculate differently, and you have to find your style. And I hopefully you will have found your calculator style by the time the test rolls around. In Chapter 13, we're looking at the counting principle exercises. Now here, again, students, don't be legalistic with me and say, well, you should have done so-and-so, or you told me so-and-so or not so-and-so. I want to be extremely clear here. Everything's fair game it, in my eyes, is considered a basic exercise. So if I want to do anything with counting principle where I'm talking about committee members, or if I'm choosing sets of clothes or building a home theater system, or choosing from appetizers and desserts and salads and entrees for meals, or rolling dice, or doing license plates or locks, something like that, it's all fair game. The ones I'm not giving you are the ones that are real confusingly complex. Now, some people are confused with every single exercise in this chapter, and that part I can't address because, again, there are too many people with too many different learning styles. But these are the ones that I consider fair game, and again, they will be similar to, that's why I said like. I didn't say exact, but similar to these exercises. And you can ask me individually what you want. On section 13.3, there are a number of permutation and combination exercises. Now, in these examples, in number 35 to 48, it says, is it a permutation or a combination? And you stop right there. On the test, you need to actually do the calculation. Most of the time, it will say the order matters. Now, I will not state that word for word on every problem. I'm not pampering you that way. Let me give you the difference orally. I'm not typing this out, so if you got to have a visual example, you must tell me. If I were to say something like, I've got 8 people and I want to make a committee of 3, that would be a combination problem because the order doesn't matter. Mike, John, Mary, Mary, John, Mike, Mary are all the same committee. So the combination is where the order doesn't matter. But if I were choosing 3 people from those 8 and one's got to be president, one vice president, one treasurer, then I'm assigning a specific spot to them and therefore the order would matter. So if Mike were president, Mary were vice president, John were treasurer versus John treasurer, Mike versus John president, Mike vice president, and Mary treasurer, that would be a different arrangement of the assignments. That would be a permutation. So those kinds of things I would not necessarily say the order matters. You have to think through that. But again, I feel in my opinion that I'll be very fair with how these exercises are stated for you. If it were a license plate problem and I said the digits repeat or digits cannot repeat, that should be enough clarity right there where you're concerned. You can ask me about this during class or in an email if you want to. Again, you cannot ask questions during the test, and don't do that. Don't attempt it. It doesn't work. And that basically is all there is where the test is concerned. I will have this same set of information through email in a Word or PDF kind of document. If you have any further questions, contact me.